Hey there, everybody. Mr. Mal, just going through the exploration activity you guys are going to go through today. We're moving on to a new unit. I'm going through you guys' assessments right now. I want you guys to just take a look at the Unit 8A introduction. We're looking at it right here. What you guys are going to be doing is clicking on this Desmos link that we've got right here. Okay? Once you click on that, you're going to get pulled up to a screen that looks just like this. All right? I've actually got it open here in another tab. So I'm going to open that up for you so you really get a look at what it is. Okay? So what I've done is I've changed this top box to change the original equation of it. Okay, so if I were to open this up in Safari right away like you guys will, this is exactly what it's going to look like, okay? So I'm going to go through that worksheet a little bit, just tell you guys what we're looking for. I'm not going to do it for you, just to give you an idea of how to do it. But what I will do is upload a key that has the answers on it. You guys can use that later on. Really want you guys to go through this and look and find the answers for yourself. It's very easy. It's a great way to get you guys familiar with quadratic equations and what they're going to look like. Remember, a quadratic equation is going to be one that has a degree of 2, right? Its highest degree is going to be 2. Okay, so if you're looking here at the worksheet that you guys are going to get, the activity wants you to use the Desmos graph of y equals x squared. Okay, so how would I go about doing that? All right, I'm going to run through actually all of number 1 as the example for you guys, and then I'll let you guys go ahead and go through the next 2 tables and make the statements yourself, okay? So let's go through it. All right, so number 1 says, use Desmos to graph y equals x squared. Let's go do that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Desmos, and notice how it has equations written in 2 different ways. You will see on your worksheet there are 2 different ways to express a quadratic equation, 2 different formulas it can be written in, okay? For the sake of Desmos, what I did was I changed it using this top equation. Now you'll see it actually has the red kind of shape to it in the corner here, right where the 1 is highlighted. All right, so then you'll know that whatever you put in that box is going to be represented by the red graph. I think most of you guys are pretty familiar with Desmos already, so you might already know it, and that's fine, okay? But I'm just going through it for those that don't know. This x squared, okay, so it says use Desmos to graph y equals x squared. I've typed that in. Awesome, so let's go ahead and answer these questions. So question A. In what direction does the parabola open? Now, when it's talking about the parabola, that is this U shape you see both the red and the black graph represented in. A quadratic equation in a graph form is going to look like this. The shape is called the parabola. Okay? So which way does it open? Well, it's not pointing down, right? The vertex is down, but the way it faces and its opening is pointing up. Okay? So I'm going to put in that it is opening up. What is the axis of symmetry? Now, I understand you guys do know what the axis of symmetry is, but it's been a while since you guys covered it. So I'm going to remind you guys the axis of symmetry is going to be the line in which the parabola is split vertically equally in half, right? So this parabola, if I put a line equally down the middle of it, it's going to have 2 equal halves on the left and right of that line. Let me draw a little rough sketch out for it. So in this case, we've got a parabola. Here's my x and y axis. This one we have is going like this, okay? The axis of symmetry is going to split it evenly in half. Now, obviously mine is not very good. It's not going to be equal, but Desmos will be, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and erase all those little dashes. Okay, let's go back to Desmos. Let's look at this red graph, okay? We're dealing with the red one right now, all right? Actually going to hide the black one, so we're only looking at the one it asks us to model. I see I've got this red one. It's looking like it's going meeting at a point down here somewhere near the origin. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. And it's not moving off that origin at all, so I can kind of safely assume that this axis of symmetry is going to be going right down the middle of this graph, and it's really lying on that y-axis, right? But if a vertical line is on a graph, how do I express that as an equation? Well, remember, what I'm going to do is if I were to draw that vertical line, every x value on that line would equal 0, and that's never going to change. So I would express an axis of symmetry as an x equals whatever the axis of symmetry is. In this case, because it's going straight down that y-axis, where x equals 0, that's going to be my axis of symmetry. All right, this is going to be modeled by, if I were to zoom in right here, right, I can see that it's at 0, all right, split evenly. It's going to be x equals 0. Let's see if I can actually get in a little bit here. There we go. Cool. Okay, what's next? I've got what are the coordinates of the vertex. Okay, so the vertex is going to be the point at which its lowest point on the graph. All right, where that arc reaches the lowest point, its minimum point in fancier mathematic terms. Okay, so what is going to be the point in which that it's at its lowest, this parabola? Well, we're going to zoom in here. I'm going to notice, sure looks like that's at 0, 0, huh? So it's meeting at 0, 0. I'm going to write in the coordinates of the vertex as 0, 0, okay? So that's really what we're going to be looking for with all these, but I'm going to go through, you're going to see some questions that we didn't touch on here. I'm just going to highlight those for you. All right, again, want you guys to have these equations, type those in on Desmos, but I want you to type them in this top box where we changed it. Notice I got my cursor on it right there. Okay, so let's actually put in that second one. I won't answer the questions. So it's going to be y equals x minus 3 squared. Let's type that in, and I'll show you how to do that. I'm going to delete that. I'm going to put my parentheses. I'm going to have x minus 3 end parentheses. This button right here has got the a to the second, is the same thing as squaring it. Now my graph is represented on there. I can just use that to answer the questions, okay? Below that table, you're going to see this, say what value of h, what effect does changing the value of h have? H is going to be actually below your red, the graph you're using. But I want you to use that, play with it a little bit. This is changing the h value. You're going to describe in your own words what changing that h value does. I'm not going to give you the answer here. Put it in your own words, use the answer key to correct it if you want to make any changes. Okay? Same thing if we move below on the second table. Notice that it asks what is the change in k, or I'm sorry, what effect does changing the value of k have? You're going to do the same thing, except you're going to go to Desmos, look at the K slider. I'm toying with it right here. Mess around with that K slider. You can see how the graph changes. Put that in your own words. Describe how changing K changes the look of the graph. All right, I'm going to go back to here, see if there's anything else. All right, right here where it says, what did you learn today in your own words? Again, I didn't put that in the answer key. What I want you guys to do is try and write down 2 things, okay? 2 things that you guys learned today from this activity. And if you can, try to focus on some of the mathematical terms we were using. And if you notice, I highlighted them here, all right? Try to use these in your explanations for h and k. Try to use them in the 2 things that you learned, and I'll be taking a look at those. Again, whatever you guys put down, I want you guys to cross-reference with the answer key. Don't use only the answer key. Going through and investigating all this on your own is a great way to get familiar with quadratic functions, and it would be a great way to start off this unit. All right? As always, email me with any questions. We will talk to you guys soon.